So they've got him over a barrel, haven't they? The EU leaders even invited Starmer to a leaders' summit in the same building where Ted Heath signed away our sovereignty in 1972. They are taking the absolute mickey. But that's the difference, isn't it, between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump?
But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done.
Yeah, it's Keir Starmer's beta Britain and Trump's alpha America. Trump isn't letting anyone push him around and he's getting results. Tomorrow, our Prime Minister is going to metaphorically sit on Emmanuel Macron's little knee and grovel to EU officials over the result of the largest democratic vote.
Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. And we'll see whether or not we can balance out our budget. With the European Union, it's $350 billion deficit.
Trump just dropped a bombshell. He's accusing the EU of committing an atrocity in trade practices. But that's not all. He's now set his sights on the UK, warning them they're out of line. These aren't just empty words. With a $300 billion trade deficit at stake, Trump's threats carry weight. In the next few minutes, we'll unpack what this means for you, your wallet, and the future of global trade. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Trump's latest broadside against the European Union has sent shockwaves through international trade circles. The former president's accusation that the EU is committing an atrocity in its trade practices is more than just colorful rhetoric. It's a potential harbinger of economic turmoil.
Donald Trump has got the Mexicans to stop other Mexicans breaking into America. Keir Starmer is less useful than a chocolate fireguard when it comes to protecting our border, though. Trump threatened tariffs on Mexico.
You know, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products.
President Trump presented Prime Minister Keir Starmer with an open goal today. All Starmer had to do was tap the ball into the empty net, and everything would have been absolutely fine.
They take almost nothing, and we take everything from them. Millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products.
But what's really behind this bold claim? The EU-US trade relationship has long been a contentious issue, with both sides accusing the other of unfair practices. Trump's focus on the $300 billion trade deficit isn't new, but it's worth examining the numbers. Is this figure accurate, and more importantly, what does it actually mean for American workers and businesses? From the EU's perspective, their trade practices are fair and mutually beneficial. They argue that the trade relationship creates jobs on both sides of the Atlantic and fosters innovation. But Trump's not buying it. He's particularly incensed about the automotive industry, farm products, and other goods that he believes are getting a raw deal in European markets. Let's break down Trump's grievances. The automotive sector is a prime example of the complexities at play. European cars face a mere 2.5% tariff when entering the US market, while American cars are slapped with a 10% tariff in the EU. On the surface, this seems unfair, but dig deeper, and you'll find that the US imposes a whopping 25% tariff on light trucks, effectively shutting out European competition in this lucrative market segment. Farm products are another bone of contention. The EU's strict regulations on genetically modified organisms, GMOs, and hormone-treated beef have long been a thorn in the side of American agricultural exports. Trump sees these regulations as thinly veiled protectionism, while the EU maintains they're necessary for food safety and environmental protection. The potential fallout from Trump's threats could be severe. If he follows through on imposing retaliatory tariffs, we could see a tit-for-tat escalation that would ripple through global supply chains. American consumers might face higher prices on European goods, while US exporters could find themselves locked out of crucial markets. But Trump's atrocity claim is more than just a warning shot in a potential trade war.
There you have it. Clear as day. Trump prefers Britain to the EU. He can do better business with us than the EU. He wants to do better business with us than the EU. And actually, he's been of that view ever since the day after the Brexit vote.
So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see the UK, but European Union.
All right, so with that in mind, what did Keir Starmer do in his infinite wisdom? Well, he went off to Brussels to meet with a load of EU bigwigs so people like Emmanuel Macron can tell him how Brexit has been a complete disaster.
Is really out of line. UK is out of line. But I'm sure I think that one can be worked out.
It's a signal that he's willing to upend decades of transatlantic economic cooperation for what he perceives as a fairer deal for America. This hardline stance could reshape global trade dynamics, forcing other nations to reassess their relationships with both the US and the EU. Just when we thought the trade tensions couldn't get any more intense, Trump has thrown another curveball into the mix. This time, it's not just the EU and his crosshairs. He's set his sights on the UK, warning them they're way out of line. It's a startling shift in tone that's left many wondering, what's behind this sudden change in the special relationship? The plot thickens when we consider the delicate tightrope Prime Minister Keir Starmer is walking. On one side, he's got Trump breathing down his neck with threats of tariffs. On the other, he's got his own ambitions for closer ties with the EU. It's a diplomatic balancing act that would make even the most seasoned politician break a sweat. Trump claims he's had numerous phone calls and meetings with Starmer, but what exactly was said behind those closed doors? The former president's warning suggests these conversations weren't all handshakes and smiles. It's clear that Trump's vision for UK-US trade relations is clashing head-on with Starmer's EU aspirations. Let's not forget the Brexit elephant in the room. The UK's departure from the EU was supposed to be a golden ticket to better trade deals with countries like the US. Instead, it's turned into a Gordian knot of competing interests. Move closer to the EU and risk Trump's ire. Lean towards the US and potentially sacrifice the benefits of European market access. It's a lose-lose situation that's leaving British businesses and workers caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, so they've got him over a barrel, haven't they? The EU leaders even invited Starmer to a leaders' summit in the same building where Ted Heath signed away our sovereignty in 1972. They are taking the absolute mickey. But that's the difference, isn't it, between Keir Starmer and Donald Trump?
But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done.
Yeah, it's Keir Starmer's beta Britain and Trump's alpha America. Trump isn't letting anyone push him around and he's getting results. Tomorrow, our Prime Minister is going to metaphorically sit on Emmanuel Macron's little knee and grovel to EU officials over the result of the largest democratic vote.
Prime Minister Starmer has been very nice. We've had a couple of meetings. We've had numerous phone calls. We're getting along very well. And we'll see whether or not we can balance out our budget. With the European Union, it's $350 billion deficit.
Starmer's balancing act is nothing short of political acrobatics. He's trying to keep the door open to closer EU ties while simultaneously placating Trump's demands. It's a high-stakes game where one wrong move could send the UK's trade relationships tumbling like a house of cards. As the dust settles on Trump's latest bombshell, the UK finds itself in an unenviable position, caught between two economic giants with very different visions for the future of global trade. The question on everyone's lips is, how will this reshape the international order? What's truly fascinating is how this diplomatic dance affects the broader geopolitical landscape. As the UK tries to navigate between these competing interests, other nations are watching closely. Will this reshape alliances beyond trade? And more importantly, who stands to gain the most from this potential reshuffling of the international deck? As the dust settles on Trump's latest bombshell, the world holds its breath. The former president's warnings to the EU and UK have sent shockwaves through the global trade landscape, potentially reshaping alliances and economic relationships. The coming months could see a dramatic shift in international commerce, with far-reaching consequences for consumers and businesses alike. The question on everyone's lips is whether diplomacy will prevail or if we're heading towards a new era of trade conflicts. As tensions rise, all eyes are on the key players. Will Keir Starmer's balancing act between Trump and the EU pay off, or will it backfire spectacularly? The fate of global trade hangs in the balance, and the repercussions will be felt far beyond the boardrooms and political chambers.